Good evening, everyone. I'm Anushka Vilankar, and I'm the host for today's webinar. I'm one of the hosts of today's webinar. I've been interning with Atha for the past 1 month, and I'm currently pursuing Masters in Counseling Psychology from Amity University. Today, me and my two friends are going to talk about a very interesting topic. I would like to introduce my other two friends. Siddhi Chaube has been interning with Atha for the past 1 month and is currently pursuing her Masters in Counseling Psychology at Amity University. Nazima Syed has completed Masters in Clinical Psychology from Swami Vivekanand College of Arts, Science and Commerce, and she is currently working as a career coach in Outskill Limited Technologies. She's interning at Atha Psychotherapy for the last 3 months. We've been working as interns with Atha for the past 1 month, and working with Atha has been nothing more than an enjoyable ride of learning new things every day. I'd love to introduce Ms. Asira Chirmule, ma'am. She is the director of Atha Center for Psychotherapy and Training. She's a supervisor and associate fellow of RECBT and Albert Ellis Institute from New York. She is trained in CBT from Beck Institute for Cognitive Behavior Therapy, USA. Other Center for Psychotherapy and Training was founded by Ms. Asira Chirmule as a way to provide and educate people about the importance of psychotherapy in not only managing emotional distress, but in preventing unhealthy emotional disturbances. Atha Center is built on two premises: scientific evidence based psychotherapy tools, as well as Eastern psychological concepts. It is a blend of Eastern and Western psychology, is the way to move forward. Now, Siddhi Chaube will continue with the topic.
Thank you for that amazing introduction, Anushka. So, I would like to say that I read a quote somewhere which said that not all forms of abuse leaves bruises. And the first thought that crossed my mind was how accurate this quote was, especially when it comes to our topic for today. So, majority of the world leans onto the bruises that are visible to our naked eye, and we often tend to ignore the bruises that we are not able to see. The bruises that are on people's minds or on their feelings, we're not able to see them. So the act of bullying is kind of leaves those kind of bruises which are often not visible to us from our naked eye. So I would like to define bullying by saying that it is a repeated aggressive behavior where one person or group of people in a position of power deliberately intimidates, abuse, or coerces an individual with the intention to hurt the person physically or emotionally. It is not only limited to physical means, but it stretches out to various other types that we will shortly discuss. Now, I will call upon Nazima to further continue the topic.
Okay, so let's start the topic by just going through a poem. Okay, so let's start with the poem. Living in fear, day in and day out. Leave me alone, I just want to shout. When you call me names like stupid and fool, I don't understand why you are so cruel. My stomach hurts, my heart's beating fast. Cause nobody likes me, I'm always picked last. The smile I once had on my face now is gone. I'm all alone, never had anyone. I can't wipe out the tears that I've cried. I am torn and broken, bleeding inside. The wounds won't heal, the scars won't go away. I just cannot take this another day. After 5 years of torment, the bullying finally stopped. It wasn't until that my mood seriously dropped. The memories haunted me, the words ringing in my ears, and I became more and more afraid of my fears. The pain consumed me as I groaned in despair. The feelings overwhelmed me, my heart felt beyond repair. I couldn't take it anymore. I didn't know how to cope. I didn't want to live. I had lost all the hope. To teachers and parents, I want to say this. It's too late to save me, but please save other kids. So, this is a poem written by a person who has been bullied for 5 years constantly. So, let's start further. Anushka, please move further with other types of bullying.
Yeah, so that was an amazing poem and it actually describes the whole topic of poem and how dreadful it is. So to understand bullying a little better, we'll dive into the different topics. And the first one that we've seen everywhere and that happens at all the places is physical bullying. So it is the most common form of bullying that includes all kinds of hitting, kicking, tripping, punching, pinching. Also, pinching is a form of bullying, which I really did not know, but it actually constitutes under bullying. So we see this kind of bullying happening everywhere, every day around us, and yet we do not speak up against it. So the bruises arising from this kind of bullying, they get all the attention. because the scars are visible to the people around us, and that is why they believe that, okay, so because these scars are visible, that means the person is going through some kind of trauma. So it can have short term and long term effects. I want to give an example over here. I'm sure we all have watched the movie Jo Jeeta Wahi Sikandar. It's an old movie starring Amir Khan, and I don't remember the name of the other actors. But in that movie, a group of college students, they bully other college students in a cycle race. They feel that they are the college students, that is the Amir Khan's friends. They think that these guys are gonna win, so they try to cheat between the race, and they try to hit and punch them till the time that Amir Khan's brother ends up in a hospital. This kind of bullying happens almost everywhere. Another kind of bullying is verbal bullying, and it leaves a permanent scratch on the person's self confidence, as it includes name calling, insults. Now, come on, we never like if somebody insults me, or insults us, or somebody name calls us or teases us without actually any fault of our own. So the person who becomes a victim of this, he or she starts to identify himself by the insult that he is being referred to. So, for example, that if a person is being called a loser, he might think that, okay, I am a loser because people are calling me a loser, and his behavior automatically changes. There is a switch in his personality that happens, and he starts behaving like a loser. He starts to identify himself like a loser. And it puts a great toll on the person's mental health, because we never like to be called a loser or a fool or stupid or any insults that people that the bullies usually call other people. So Siddhi will continue with the other types of bullying.
Right. So, after Anushka's point, I would like to introduce the third type of bullying, which is social bullying. So, like Anushka gave an example of the movie, I would also like to give one example. We all have watched Koi Mil Gaya, wherein we saw Hrithik Roshan being playing the character of an autistic student, and how his batchmates, his seniors, and even the teachers. Sort of bullied them that he is not able to go to the next class, he's not able to pass his papers. That is a form of social bullying. It was a form of both social as well as physical bullying, because he was also physically bullied by his seniors. So social bullying leads an individual walking around in a sense of shame, guilt, or disappointment, because they have not done anything wrong, and still they are receiving this kind of a treatment from others. So this walk of shame is associated with the rumors that are spread about them, that the way they are treated by other people, the nasty jokes that are being spread to embarrass them. And this, along with verbal bullying, drops the person's self confidence and self esteem to zero. The next part of bullying that we'll be discussing is cyberbullying. So, in this pandemic period, we all know how much the internet has helped us to, cope up with our studies or our work schedules and everything. But bullying is cyberbullying is a place where people can also start use their powers to overpower others on the internet. So they might send risky texts or send abusive texts, photoshopping the other person's photo into something which is hurting them and harassing them. So this forces the other people to leave their bubble on the internet, only to return to become the victim of physical, verbal, and social bullying. And now I would ask Nazima to continue.
Okay, so the next bullying that we focus is that emotional bullying. So we have heard so many of things related to emotions, right? So even in bullying, there is a factor that affects us. So that is the emotional bullying. So emotional bullying basically means that it's the person use the words to mock, shock, or ostracize other person. And this type of bullying is more harmful than the physical one. Yeah, we can see the bruises, but we cannot see the emotional harm when a person is experiencing it. So it is more harmful than it. And emotional bullying is happening when a person is trying to get something he wants, or he or she wants, but the way he wants to take it is by making others feel angry, or making them feel afraid. So, and it is not seen in a playground. Like usually we see that people are teasing, the children are teasing each other. But emotional bullying is found in most of the time in adults' relationships and workplaces. So in emotional bullying, what happens is people start doing things like, for example, they name, call, or tease people, other person, use sarcasm, threaten, belittling others. They exclude some people or gang up with other persons to irritate the front person. They lie, and so many factors is involved in emotional bullying. So now, after hearing the types of bullying, we all will be wondering like, what happens this? So usually, when even I used to hear a particular story of bullying, I used to think that what does that person get by bullying other people, right? So there are few causes that I have jotted down. So I'll just tell that. So basically, bullies have been found in children and adults for a number of reasons. And many of the time, the people who have been bullied thinks that it is a normal behavior and it is nothing wrong in this. So they don't tend to like raise their voice. They feel that it is a normal thing. So there's nothing different in this. The second one is that sometimes if a person is if the person is having some issues at home or at a workplace, he tend to express his anger in this way and start belittling others. The third important reason is that it is because of poor upbringing. Because sometimes children or some people are not taught that we need to respect other feelings. We need to be sensitive to others' feelings. So because of this, bullying has become normalized. And the fourth one is that the movies and the violent games, right? The gaming industry has been on a boom nowadays, and it is mostly like embedded on the violent games. So children, after seeing that violent games, tend to have that it's normal. We can hurt another person. It's all normal. And the last one is that I used to like think about it, the attention thing. So basically, people who are not able to get attention in home or workplace, they tend to indulge in behaviors that they in a behavior that they feel that can give them attention. So they resort in such behavior and they validate themselves by getting attention. So now Siddhi will continue like what are the effects of bullying further.
Right. Just before we continue, I'd like to take a look at the comments that have been given by our viewers. So, Shafiq says hi and all the best. And Asira ma'am says much needed awareness session on bullying, which is, I completely agree. It is such an important topic. And Shafiq likes the poem. So, thank you, Nazima, for that. And emotional bullying is very difficult to cope up with. I completely agree. And also, I would like to ask our viewers, what do they think about the effects? Or you guys too, what do you think would be the effects, that bullying has on people?
The effects are really worse
I
because
know.
we can't imagine what happens. We feel that it is very casual to just bully someone, or we feel that it is very casual to see someone getting bullied, but we don't know what is actually going on with the person or what is happening in the person's mind. So, what do you think, Nazima?
So I think as if we have a physical harm, we can sit go to a medical store and we can get it. But when a person is facing such kind of emotion, which he or she is not even sharing with others, is more harmful to the person rather than a physical harm. So that's all I want to say.
Yes, that's absolutely right. So with that, I think we'll move on to the effects of bullying. So first and foremost, I would like to mention that bullying has physical effects. By physical effects, I don't mean the bruises that we are able to see on people, but physical effects as in somatic effects. So if a child is being bullied, he or she might not want to go to school by saying that I have a fever, I have headaches, I have stomach aches, and stuff like that. So mostly they would try to avoid school. And the second I would talk about is the individual might start having nightmares because of all the stress that bullying has given them. They'll start to have nightmares, and that will be the only thing they think about. So their grades will drop. There will be no extracurricular activities they'll be taking in part because they'll also be socially excluded by people. So that can also help. And Mitali here says that effects can lead to depression and indulges in some lifelong problem. And I absolutely agree. So now I would ask Nazima to continue.
Okay, so the effect that as Siddhi mentioned that children particularly start avoiding schools. So the effect is so like it's so hurting for the child that he or she is not only leave these attending schools, but it makes that person to just avoid every recreational activities and tend to have a phase of a sadness or worry. So in a situation where the child is going to a celebration place, in a wedding place, or with his or friends, he should have a face which is smiling face and he should be more energetic. But due to the instances of bullying, the child is maintaining the same lower face and cannot able to like communicate with his friends, not able to express him or herself. So what happens here? The child's self-confidence has been targeted here. Not only his emotions, feelings, but his self-confidence. So it has made the child have low self-confidence, and due to this, he is not able to enjoy any of the situation in his life. So I request Anushka to move further.
So, I would like to ask everyone, have you ever seen a person stammer when he's getting bullied? Because I have. There was this one person who was stammering when he was being bullied by a group of seniors. And the thought that crossed my mind was the amount of nervousness and anxiety that the person might be feeling when he's actually being bullied. And stammering takes place when the individual being bullied experiences excessive nervousness and starts to show signs of anxiety throughout the day, which includes stammering, sweating, biting their nails, shaking their legs, not sitting stable, and a most common effect is shivering. And I have seen people who actually go through these signs of anxiety get even more bullied because of that. They are made fun of because they shiver. They are made fun of because they can't stand up for themselves, or because they stammer. It is somewhere still related to the taboo, I feel. And another effect that happens, and I think which is very cruelsome, is because of the loss of self confidence and self esteem. It may push the person to cross the boundary of suicidal thoughts to actually engaging in suicidal behaviors. I'm sure that every person who has been bullied to the extent that the person experiences all these symptoms and effects has had suicidal thoughts. But he decides to actually engage in such behavior is when the problem arises, or is it when actually the problem actually is there. And imagine going through such various kinds of bullying, verbal, physical, emotional, all at once. A person may lose all the will to live as he'll start considering himself worthless. The individual may look for options to end his life because he finds himself unable to cope with the repercussions of being bullied. It is not easy for someone to just go around saying that, okay, I am strong enough to handle all the repercussions that come with bullying. I'm strong enough to stand up for myself. That person might stand up for himself, but somewhere at the back of his mind, because of the pressure that has been applied to him because of the bullies, it may one day force him to actually engage in suicidal behaviors, which is not good for himself, obviously, and for his family too. And he or she engage in such behavior because without any fault of their own. So Shafiq here says that bullying, like other forms of discipline violations, is only likely to occur in the classroom of a bad or disorganized teacher. Definitely happens, because somewhere a teacher maybe is not able to control the bullying. That is when children feel that it's okay to maybe do do bullying to others, or it's okay to engage in such behaviors. So we've learned about all the different types of bullying, and we've learned about the effects and also the causes. But how do we actually manage, how do we actually counter bullying, or how do we manage with, if you are someone who is being bullied, how do we manage with ourselves being bullied, or to other people who are being bullied? So Siddhi will start with the tips or effective measures to counter bullying.
Right. Thank you, Anushka. So, as Anushka said, and like Shafiq said, I do have a point for how teachers do act as, someone who actually continues bullying because they don't really take effective measures to stop or control it. So, we're going to talk about effective measures to control bullying, and I will be talking about the points that can be adopted or taken by schools or institutions. So, the first point is teach the children social and emotional learning. We all know how much of importance we have to give to social and emotional learning, because empathy is something that, if I am supposed to understand how the other person is feeling, I am empathic to that person. So this program basically is actually followed by a lot of schools and institutions. So it teaches the skills of self responsibility, self management, self awareness, being a responsible decision maker, and also relationship management. And it also reduces problems such as anxiety, depression, and also disruptive behaviors like aggressiveness or anger. And with these effects, we can see that it can help both the person who has been bullied and the person that also is engaging in bullying. So this also has been, been effective for the teachers as well, because the teachers have found that they have like increased emotional ability for their students, except for just the house. So they are more emotional towards the problems of the students, they have higher job satisfaction, and they have less burnout, which shows that they have more positive, they indulge in more classroom activities to understand their students, they get into the depth of the problems and try to help them, solving these issues. And they use more strategies to create cultivity and create creativity, choice, and autonomy in their students. So this was the first program. The second, and I feel this is like this is of most importance, is to have counselors in school settings. So I had counselor in my school. I guess you guys also did have counselors in your school. I think this is really important because we do give much importance to counselors these days, and the presence of counselor will actually make it better to deal with the person, both the people who have been bullied and the person who is actually engaging in the bullying. The problem is that people feel that the person who is bullying is actually a villain here, but like Anushka also mentioned, that they have also been through some of their own cycles or their problems which made them be like this. So the counselor can provide the schools with effective programs, effective both in terms of cost effectiveness and its benefit to the students. So there is this program that I came across which is called the STAC program. The S here stands for stealing the show, T stands for turning it over, A stands for accompanying others, and C stands for coaching compassion. This is basically a brief intervention which is actually adopted by most of the schools, and it is very effective. So here the counselors acts as leaders, and it trains the students to intervene if they are observing any bullying situation happening in the campus. So the students as watchers would intervene, and they would stop, take action, and report it to the concerned teacher or anyone who's present there, concerned authority. What we see these days, or we've also been shown in movies, is that students try to stay out of it. They wouldn't indulge in intervening and trying to stop the bully from doing this, because that will make them think that, okay, I will be the next if I intervene in this. So this program teaches that. And now I would like Nazima to continue with the other points.
Okay, that's so enlightening. Thank you, Siti. So I would start by giving an example. So if we want to grow a plant, so what we do? We put a seed, we take care of it, we put required water, we nourish it, right? So aren't a child, a born child, is like that? We need to nourish him or her like that, yeah. And parents are the first teacher, right? We have heard this, and it's a truth. Parents are the first teacher. So let me focus some points that as a parent, what we can do to stop bullying and take care of it. Okay, the first point is that in parents teach like the first is use an authoritative parenting style. So using what does authoritative parenting style mean? So it offers a higher degree of warmth, love, and closeness, and at the same time it provides a limit and expectation to the child that okay, this is the limit, I need to do that. So it is not like the parents is offering unlimited care and not setting boundaries for it. So the research have found that children who are raised in authoritative parenting style compared to other parenting styles fare the best or better mental health abilities and have good relationship skills, and they have also shown that they have higher achievement. And as I mentioned about the plant, if you're not taking care of the plant properly, we are not putting it water, we are not showing it sunlight. So similarly, if the children is experiencing harsh parenting experiences, so will it be okay for the children to experience it in a good way? No. So similarly, children who have been experiencing a harsh parenting have been shown that they either become a bully or they become the focus of the bully. They become the target. Okay. So the next point is that teach your child to deal with the bully. Okay, now we know that bullying is not good, but as a parent, are we looking forward to teach our children? No. So what we can do is we need to teach our child that if he or she is confronted with a bully, might walk away straight from the situation or being assertive towards a bullying if things are getting too complicated. And telling someone to stop, it doesn't mean that we are like a chicken, right? We are not a chicken. It's a cleverness that okay, I don't want this. I'm just going from that place. Okay. The next thing what we can do is like we can teach our children to staying calm. Staying calm at this situation will make the bully's confidence tear down. If the child is having a self confidence that cannot be beaten, the bully itself can give up to that process. Okay, so building self confidence is a major thing that we should inculcate in our children. Okay, so the next point, Anushka will continue. Thank you.
Those were some really great points that you two talked about. And I hope that parents and children will actually inculcate, and teachers also will inculcate in their life. So we've seen that how parents and teachers can actually stop bullying or take effective measures. But what can one do if the person himself or herself is experiencing bullying? What can one do to actually save himself or to manage himself from that bullying? So the first point that I'm going to talk about is something that Siddhi already talked about when it came to types of bullying, which is protecting oneself from cyberbullying. So the trend these days is having a lot of uh, friends or Facebook friends or followers or Twitter followers and all these things. So, but one doesn't understand the repercussions of it or the consequences of having so many friends. So, what happens is one needs to educate oneself that it is important to understand what they post and who are in their friends list. There are times because of the trend, people believe in having a lot of followers, and they are like, I have to post everything on social media. I have to go with the trend. I have to follow the trend, or else I'll feel like I'm being left out. But it is very important that one should understand that friendship isn't made stronger by sharing passwords with each other. It is actually a very wrong way, because this is how privacy somewhere gets hampered. It's because the passwords can be used in a very wrong way in the future. By giving the passwords to each other, it's actually a person is handling all his private information to someone on a platter. भाई ले लो सारा private information है सामने. But people may not realize it because of all the trends that are happening, and because of this craze that is happening, because of the social media that is taking over. We feel that having as many followers is much more important than our private information. One doesn't realize, but they also fall into the trap of manipulation by strangers. Now, because you have so many friends, and because you think that my internet friends are cooler than my actual friends or my real friends, they do not sometimes think that their internet friends might actually be somebody who can harm them emotionally, because cyberbullying happens that way, as Siddhi talked about. So they try to manipulate them into leaking their private information. They might talk them, or they might lure them into their friendship. They might say all good things about a person, and the person might actually fall into the trap, and that is when they start abusing them through social media. So one should actually read about all the articles, or one should actually educate oneself. They should actually know which kind of people are in my friends list. Oh, so this person is posting these things. Should I be friends with him or should I not? Because this is very important, because cyberbullying is increasing day by day, and as with every second that we speak, cyberbullying happens all over India, not only all over India but all over the world. Another thing that one can do to protect oneself from cyberbullying is report it. Do not feel that you will be judged. Do not have that fear of judgment that, okay, if I report it to someone, people are going to judge me. That doesn't happen, because there are people outside, there are authorities that might help you. So reporting it to authorities will always help, as the authorities will help you build the trust into themselves. And that is how you can get out of the whole manipulation trap that has been happening with you. You'll get out of the whole mess that has been created by somebody else, and you fall into that mess without even thinking twice. You fall into it because you subconsciously just go with the flow, but you don't think about the repercussions. So any activity, any kind of an activity, social media or anywhere that you feel that you're getting bullied, report it to the authorities. Especially if you're a kid, try and talk about it with your parents, because parents are your first friends, as they always say, and they will help you get out of it. But if it's not helping, go and talk to the authorities, as they will help you out of it. The next point is understanding the psychology behind bullying. Now this topic is more related to causes. So coming from a psychology background and having read about bullying a lot many times, I can say that it is very important to the person who is being bullied to read upon the psychology of bullying. We've already seen in causes that there are so many causes that people bully. So what happens is when a person is being bullied, he should think about why the other person is actually bullying them. The first point will be, maybe the person who's being bullied, who's bullying them, has been bullied when he was a kid, or when he was like 5 or 6 or 7, not only by his peers but also his family members. And that is why the person feels that it is okay to bully someone else. Another case is when people bully, they think that I'm bullying because I'm somewhere insecure about my power, or I'm somewhere insecure about my ego. And as to not lose that ego, I will try and execute my power over somebody else. So the person who is being bullied should understand that this is the kind of a person who is insecure about his or her powers, or is insecure about his or her own confidence or his position. And that is when a person should back off. He should be like, okay, fine, I get that the person is insecure, and should not go with whatever the person is saying. So for example, if a person is calling you a fool, that does not mean that you're actually a fool. That is his opinion, not your own. You should not identify with the bully or the insult. I already talked about it in the effects, like the verbal bullying. You should not go with whatever is being said. Instead, you should think about it from a third person's perspective, saying that, okay, this person has an opinion of me. Everybody has the right to have an opinion. You should not identify, one should not identify oneself with the insults being called. So this sometimes what happens is, some people who are the people who bully, they feel that if they don't bully, their true characteristics or their personality will be revealed, and people might start calling them a loser. So that is why they themselves bully others. Also, as Nazima said, that somewhere upbringing also matters, because poor upbringing poor upbringing somewhere brainwashes the children into believing that bullying someone or name calling or insults is okay, as I have been through that. One phenomenon I would like to explain here is the cycle of violence hypothesis, or the cycle of bullying, wherein a person A, who has been bullied all his life, all his childhood, thinks it's okay to bully someone else, and he engages into the same behaviors that somebody else engaged in while bullying him. He thinks that it's okay to bully somebody else because I have been treated that way. So if I have been treated that way, it's okay if I treat someone else the same way that I was being treated, which somewhere is very wrong. And this cycle of violence hypothesis, it goes in on it goes in a loop, because one person bullies the other person thinks it is okay for the other person to bully, and he then, because a big scratch is on his ego, he starts to bully the other person. And so the cycle of violence, its cycle of bullying, continues. Some familial differences can also take place. Because of the family differences, there might be a lot of manipulation, or a lot of uh, emotional trauma that takes place on the kid, which then believes that it's okay if I call somebody a fool, a loser, which then he doesn't think that, okay, me calling somebody else a loser or a fool may actually harm the person, may actually uh, push the person into thinking about suicide. So these are some of the strategies that you, if you are being bullied, can use, or if you're a parent, you can use, or if you're a teacher, you can inculcate these measures into everyday life, as they will help somebody you know get out of bullying, or it'll help the person feel a little less stressful from everything that is happening around them. So Nazima is going to talk about an acronym that she came up on her own. Nazima, would you like to share?
Yeah, thank you so much for that. I would like to share. So basically, I had a thought that if we need to do something or we need to fight for something, so we need to stand up, right? We need to fight against it, so we need to stand up and work in that direction. So basically, I came an acronym that is STAND. So S stand for set up healthy boundaries for yourself. If you're not setting up healthy boundaries for yourself, the boundaries people can just demolish that boundary and come into your personal space. So we need to set up a healthy boundaries for yourself. That T stands for tell a responsible person if something is disturbing you. So as the discussion started, we already are stressing that it's normal to be get bullied, right? So we don't tell someone that it's not normal, it's hurting me. So it's T stands for we need to tell somebody who is responsible, and we need to tell them that it is disturbing me. And A stands for avoiding a situation which is harmful for you. As I mentioned that avoiding a situation going from that place doesn't make you a coward, right? You're not a chicken. But avoiding a harmful situation makes you clever and smart. So the A stands for avoid the harmful situation, which is in which you feel that it's not going okay. So you can just leave the situation. N stand for make yourself ready to say no. So we as Indian society, we are not ready to say no. We just accept everything. We just don't say no to the demands of anybody. So we should make ourselves ready that we need to say no to the demands of the bully. And the last one, D, start from developing healthy friend circle which supports us. So the person should develop a healthy friend circle which supports him or her. So that this stand for stand. And I would like to say few lines and conclude by my side that I just want to summarize by saying few lines that you know what, one may demolish our dignity, one may crush us, one may ridicule our character, but it can never be destroyed until we don't give up upon it, right? If we give up, it's a key for that person to just open the lock and take all the treasures away. So we don't need to do that thing. Okay. And lastly is that we don't need to be neutral in the injustice situation. And if we do that, then it will not work, right? And we don't need to be on the side of the oppressor. That's what I feel that we don't need to be silent when injustice is happening. And I may ask Anushka, what do you think about it?
I feel that bullying is like an invisible poison that somehow manages to enter your system and then it pollutes your system for life. So, because it is a poison, it can harm you, it can harm everyone else around you as it affects your whole environment. So, I feel that it is very important for people to stand up for themselves if they are being bullied. And if not for themselves, then if they are not being bullied, then they should stand up for others who are actually being bullied. Because if you turn the face other way when someone is being bullied, then I think that you might as well be the bully too. So, Siddhi, what do you think?
I think both of you mentioned great points. Nazima, I really love the acronym. It is really amazing. And we have to acknowledge the fact that a person who is being bullied, I'm sure it's hurtful and it does not feel good. But then they have to stand up for it, because if not them, I don't think there is anyone else who is going to support them that much. So you need to know that I, as a person, need to be respected, and the other person cannot really treat me that way. So, and all the points that we talked about, the measures, I hope that in some way or the other, it helped people understand how important of an issue this is. And even though we say that, all those chota mota comments that we do, that, okay, she's a little fat or he's a little short, we should understand the fact that we don't know how this short comment will affect the other person. So these are the things I think that the other people should take into consideration. And right now,
So, Serene Songs has a doubt that people want to forget about their school and college life They remember that period as a bad phase. Is there any way we can help them look at that period a little less negatively? What do you guys think? Because I'm here confused because there are a lot of ways that you can actually think about this a little less negatively. But what do you guys think? I feel one way is to actually think about the good parts that happened in the college life or in their school life, because you know it's no use just dwelling over the negative points. Somewhere thinking about the positives also helps. What do you guys think?
I think what you said is correct. I was actually thinking the same thing, that if someone asks me that how do you get, away from the negative things that happened to you in school or college, I'd say that I try to remember all the positive moments that I've had rather than trying to remember them. So I think that's the same, for me, if I were to think about all the positive things. What do you think, Nazima?
So according to me, what one can do is like make a comparison between past and future. And rather than what happened in the past, I would focus on thinking that what I can do in the future, and I can just create that instances in my life which can prove the past instances wrong. So I would do. I would make myself more confident with the negatives, whatever happened, and I can tell myself that I was not that what they told me, and I'm something different. When I shine, they would get the sunlight by my shining abilities. That's what I can do for it.
That's a lovely sentence to say, Nazima. And Asira ma'am said hashtag stand up against bullying, which I think we should not only use in our social media but also in our real lives. That we need to stand up against bullying because it is high time that we just turn our faces away, because we might see people bullying somebody and we might be like, हाँ हमारे it's none of our business, you know, वो उनका वो लोग देख लेंगे. But that is not how it happens, right? That's not how it should happen. We should actually stand up for people who are getting bullied, and we should actually take an initiative, a little initiative or a little step towards people who are being bullied, because that will not make a change in our lives, but that will make a change in their lives. So yeah.
Also, I would like to add one point. When a child comes at home and says, "Mom, or my dad, something happened in my school. They told me like that." So what a parents usually say, "Okay, no problem, ignore it." The teaching that we give to our children is just ignore it. But ignoring doesn't solve the problem, right? The child is thinking of the same issue again and again, and he is not going against the person who is bullying, and he thinks that okay, nobody is supporting me. So what we need to do is, as a parent, we need to hear कि what the child is saying, what the child is going through, rather than making the child okay, don't talk about it, leave. होता है, we just अरे होता है school में. We used to just say this word. So I think parents should have that awareness about it, that we should understand even the child has that emotions, right? Even child is having emotions. He used to even child has feeling of guilt. So yeah, even like we should understand even this is the base of the feelings, right? If the child is experiencing negative feelings, we should treat that by at least saying good words or helping him or just listening to him, rather than just saying ki, just ignore it, it happens. That's what I think. Because sometimes, usually, this happens in my childhood as well. Something happened and I just heard that it's all right, it's hota hai. So I just want to remove that word, it happens.
Yeah, actually. So if you all have, the Asira ma'am has said that this is such a common myth associated with bullying, just ignore. And I think Nazima, you perfectly summarized what just ignore actually means, and it should stop happening. So if you all have any doubts or any queries, I have put a website link, that is learn at the rate psychotherapy.com. That is where you can post all your queries, and your queries or your questions will be answered. So thank you so much, guys, for being the best, for being one of the best speakers with me. And it was a fun session. And I really enjoyed, and I learned a lot about bullying. So thank you so much.
Thank you. Thank you to our viewers also. I mean, it's a Sunday and it's a Sunday before Diwali. So I was busy doing the work yesterday, so I know how tough it is. But thanks to all of you guys to being here. Thanks to the both of you. And I, like Anushka said, I also learned a lot. And I just want people to know how serious of a topic this is. So yeah, thank you so much.
Thank you, first of all, to Asira ma'am that she gave the opportunity to think about it and just do it in as a webinar. And thank you both of you being such a good friends in this webinar. And it helped me to look at my childhood, and I think yeah, something went wrong in my life, in my childhood as well. So it was a great opportunity. And thank you so much, everybody, and who has been such a wonderful audience and been commenting. Thank you so much, everyone.